Okay, who wants to ask question first?
Yeah.
Ah,
Hi, I'm Manuel. I'm 10 years old. I want to ask you a question. Do you learn about astronomy in your science class?
Do they learn about astronomy? Yeah. So in the elementary schools, yep, they would spend more time learning about astronomy when they get to the middle schools, but they do learn some in the elementary schools.
say thank you.
What types of things?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Anyone else want to ask questions?
Mine.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ali. I'm 10 years old. Do NASA ever collaborate with school in US?
Oh yeah, NASA. Yeah. And there are places like NASA has different locations in the United States where students can sometimes go and visit. So where I live in San Antonio, Texas, and it would be just about 3 hours to drive, and you can go visit NASA, and you can go into the areas where they have teachers that go sometimes to learn about astronomy, to learn about just NASA in general. But students get to go there on field trips.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, right. That's good. What are you learning about in astronomy?
I'm learning about planets.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask, how many subjects did US have?
Oh, many subjects. So that's kind of a tough question. So it depends. So students would have the general mathematics and science and social studies, English, foreign languages, and then they also have what are called career and technical education classes. And in the career and technical education classes could be students who want to be educators. It could be students who want to study agriculture. They want to be in a police academy, culinary arts, cooking. So they got the main core subject areas: math, science, social studies, English, and then a lot of additional classes that students can take part in. It's similar. You take in your school: math, science, social studies, English.
Science, math,
Mathematics.
mathematics, BM,
BM is the national language. They are learning national language.
VIB.
Okay, yeah, they also.
There's also in the United States, in some schools, they have their, I guess, what would be called specialized schools. And so you might have a school that's focused on the arts, and for the arts, that would be a theme about their school. So even though they still have math, science, social studies, English, they would have a lot of activities for students that are about the arts. That could be theater, it could be regular art, it could be music. There are schools that are focused on STEM, so they're more of a science, technology, engineering, mathematics school. That's what they focus on. And so you also have different specialty schools. And then you would, like over there who said about astronomy, there's a school that I work with not far from where I live, and these are magnet schools. Magnet schools also have a specialty focus. This school in the Galveston, Texas area, this school, as a magnet, it focuses on environmental sciences. And so if you're in kindergarten at that school as environmental science, you would learn a lot about botany, so a lot about plants. If you're in 8th grade in that school, it's a lot about biology, but the environmental sciences in that school, they learn a lot of different grade levels on natural resources, energy, astronomy, geology, studying just earth, rocks, etc. So that's an environmental science school.
Yeah, Jessie. Jessie, can you please turn on your camera and you can ask question.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear my voice?
Yep.
I can turn my video now, but I can speak. How about uniform that student wear in USA? Did they wear a formal uniform or they can wear anything that is suitable? Like I mean, it's comfortable for them.
That's a good question. And it depends. So in the United States, you have school districts that they make the decisions on if there's going to be uniforms. So not every school requires uniforms. And so some places, some elementary schools might have uniforms where kids wear like khaki pants and a red shirt, khaki pants and blue shirt. Some, if you go to like a Catholic schools, they almost always have uniforms that they have to wear. But most things in terms of, I would say in most schools, there's not a specific dress code. You just have to, you would have to, certain body parts that can't show, like you can't wear a shirt that only comes halfway down your stomach, that you wouldn't be able to do that. But most, I would say a lot of schools allow you to wear what you want to wear.
Okay, thank you for the answer.
Yeah, for us in Malaysia, for elementary and secondary school, it is compulsory for us to wear uniforms.
No.
How about, let me ask my colleague, Miss Lily.
Okay, I think I got one question. Yeah, can I ask about, does your curriculum in the USA always changing, or maybe does it change for about 5 years and then, or or they will take another 10 more years, or will it change or something like that? Is it consistent?
No, yeah, it definitely changes over time, and it changes as, and I guess as more research comes into, as more things are learned from a research community, just the changing times. Like through every of the 50 states, every state has sort of they have their own control in terms of the standards that they have for their state. So there's not one set curriculum for the entire United States. States they have different standards. I mean, there are national standards and like around the mathematics, etc. But states still have control over their standards that they require. They change though over time, and then like actual curriculum materials, like textbooks, they change. Really depends. In many cases, I would say here in the state of Texas, I would say about every 10 years or so, it seems like there are new textbooks here and textbooks that are adopted. But yeah, the curriculum definitely and standards definitely change.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Because in Malaysia, sometimes it depends on so if they change the head, I mean the minister of the education, and sometimes the person, they will have different view or opinion.
Yeah.
And so I think the teachers are not really involved in making the curriculum. I think it's one of the issue in Malaysia's education. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the
Mm.
same is true in the United States. There might be some teachers who are part of a focus group, but for the most part, I would say no. You have people in government who make decisions.
Yeah, true. I think that's all from me. Yeah, for now.
I wonder if I can, Tessie, I'm going to try to show something
Yeah,
at the
sure.
I'm going to just a couple of these pictures. This comes from the schools in Galveston, Texas. These are some of the students. You'll see what they, so if they're part of these magnet schools, so this isn't all about environment, but they have one school is focused on environmental science, one that their magnet theme is health and medical sciences. One is about the arts, and one is about coastal studies. So they study from just their local island community to in kindergarten to the larger global oceans when they get to 4th grade. But let's see if this will work. And you can see some of these kids in the school. Do you see it?
Yeah, wow.
So this school here, you see where she's sitting out there on that kayak on that boat? Do you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the school that would be all about the environmental sciences. And so they have this boardwalk. So from their school, and then you can walk out on this boardwalk, and they have a classroom outside, but they can go outside and they can do all sorts of studies learning throughout their school day. This picture over here on the left is at Oppie Elementary. They study the coastal studies, so they study coastlines, and so this would be what could be right there in their local community of it could be the flower banks, it could be along the Gulf, it could be about coral reefs, it could be about just local landforms. So yeah, so there's lots of stuff there that they get to study. Let me pause it here, a couple of other places to tell you too. Let's see. So this school, if it'll pause, oops, the school where the kids are practicing right there, this one on the left, where they practice mindfulness, and they're part of the health and medical science school. So they participate in mindfulness activities, yoga, when they go to their physical education class. But they most have the gardens. They have opportunities there to plant different things in their gardens, and then their community might help sell some of the produce to local people. So that's just one.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting, right?
Curriculum. Is it in the curriculum? All those?
So how we work this is that as part of their curriculum, they have to it's part of a grant project that they have. So that's what makes those schools special, is that they're part of a grant. So they get money from the government to then try out different things. And so that's what they're doing. their studies.
Wow. So it is like project-based learning, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
My name is I ask for a question. What is the name of your school?
Oh, so I work in a lot of schools. So uh, so for me, I am I have a business, so I work in schools and in different states in the United States, but I also work at the University of Texas at Austin. So at the university. So I don't have a specific school. I work with schools. I will tell you some that I work with. So that is, I work with the Harlingen Collegiate High School. I work with the Harlingen School of Health Professions. So these are secondary students, 8th through 12th grade students who are wanting to do something in the medical field. And so they go to this school where they're learning about the medical careers starting in their 8th grade. I work with a school in Galveston called Crenshaw for the environmental sciences, OPI for coastal studies. I work in schools called the Euclid City Schools, so they're close to the Canada border and the United States along Lake Erie. I taught in a school many years ago when I first started in education. I taught in an elementary school, and it was called Lackland City, and it was right near an Air Force base here in San Antonio. So my career has been from teaching in an elementary school to then university schools, Johns Hopkins University, the University of Texas.
Or Mary.
Teacher,
Yes.
may I ask the doctor question, teacher?
Yes, sure, Jessie.
How many subjects they learn in a day? Because in Malaysia we usually learn like 6 or
Yep. Yeah, it depends, but it depends on the scheduling here. But most students would have their class in math, science, social studies, English. They would have their extracurricular time. So like physical education, if they're in music, they would have a music class. If they're in art, they would have an art class. If they're in drama, they would have a drama class. They would have any kind of other electives classes. So I would say for most students, it's probably 5 to 6 different classes in a day.
yes, sir.
Yeah, and actually, and Jesse, the other thing that depends is if a school is on what's called a block system or a regular system. If students are just if a school is just about a regular schedule, then classes would last probably anywhere from 45 to maybe 50 minutes. But if they're on a block schedule, then every class is 90 minutes. And so they would only have then about 3 or 4 classes every other day, 90 minutes.
I have one girl here. She wanted to ask question.
Hi, I'm Angel.
Okay.
I'm 10 years old. I have 2 questions. Do you have PE every day?
Yeah, physical education. No, they don't have physical education every day. They do have to have, it's a state law that they have to have so many minutes of physical education in a school year, but they don't have physical education every day. Every school is a little bit different. It's sometimes they might have physical education today, and then tomorrow they have music, and then the next day they have physical education, the next day they have art. So that's they have most schools have music, art, and PE, and they switch.
How long is the recent time?
Oh, Recess, they usually get about 15 minutes. And in schools now, things have changed. Things have definitely changed over the years. So there are many schools that I know of that they get one recess in a day, and that's 15 minutes. Now, when I was a kid, which was a really long time ago, but when I was a kid and I was your age, when I was 10, we had 4 recesses every day. We had one before school started, and then we'd have one in the morning, we'd have one after lunch, and then we had one in the afternoon. And so we always had chances to just get outside and run around for a bit. But that's not anymore.
Thank you.
You bet.
Just now when you said about the curriculum change because of the research. So research are done by the teachers or the ministry.
Yeah, it's done by like government. Well, the research actually from the universities, but then how different government agencies would use research to make some changes and adjustments.
Oh, interesting.
Thought I would show them. This is I'll just pull up a picture. You see this? Oh, I don't know how to get that one bigger. This is the city that I live in, San Antonio, Texas. So there's this river right downtown in the city, but I was hoping I could there's the downtown, the skyline of the city. And then let me type in here and see if I can show you the school that I taught at many years ago. So that's the entry, and that's the school entry. This is where I taught in the 1990s. Allen Elementary School.
Yeah.
I don't think
Wow, your
so.
city is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's a big place. What other questions do you have?
Sir, can I ask how many times do they take the exam in a year?
Oh, there's usually for the like state exams, there's one that they take, and that one exam is to move you to the next grade level. But of the 50 states, all 50 states test, and their exams are a little bit different. But here in Texas, kids would take it one time, and if they pass, then yep, they're good. They move on. If they don't pass, they get another chance in the school year. If they don't pass that one, then they might still get one more chance in the summer after some additional tutorials. But usually in every subject, it's one per year.
Hi, my name is Flora Menteri. Can I ask you a question? What is
Yeah.
your subject?
My favorite subject. Oh goodness. That's a tough one. I like all the subjects. I think probably reading would be one of my favorites. Reading in here we call the classes English, so it's reading and writing. So that would probably be my favorite. But I get to work with teachers who teach all the subjects. So I also like mathematics, and I like to learn about history. That's a tough question, but I think probably the reading and writing in English would probably be one of my favorites.
Do you have exam?
In the elementary schools, they start with exams at this at the state to move to pass and go to the next grade level starting in third grade. So they don't have anything like in the primary school, kindergarten, first or second. No, no like state kind of exams, but yeah, once you get to third grade, yes, but just one time per year for reading and mathematics, and then sometimes they have social science. Not every year. Every year is math and reading, though.
They're so curious about exam.
Yeah.
You know? They're so curious. They were asking
I know, right?
them, yeah.
How is the grade system there?
The grade system,
system,
like
yes.
The grade system, meaning like you go to kindergarten and first grade and second grade, or like getting grades, like an A, B, C, D kind of.
If you want to get grade A, how is the what is the minimum marks?
Oh, so that's an interesting question, because it all depends. So teachers in schools, they have, you know, whatever their what's called local policies. So like in their local school district, how their grading system works. So there's not necessarily specifics there. For the state exams, you have to, it all varies based on performance on exams. So there could be, you may have to get, just for an example, you may have to get, really for the state exams, you have to get a certain number of questions correct in order to pass. But that's, yeah, there's not really a set grading system that would be from across the country that would be the same everywhere. And how
Thank you, sir.
and that's and how every teacher grades is very different.
Okay, this is my question. What about the opportunity for students to learn to use ICT in the classroom? Is every student provided with any gadgets?
Oh, good question. So again, it depends. You have some school districts that they consider themselves one-to-one systems, which means every student receives a device. So that might be like a what are they called? Not a MacBook. Kind of like a MacBook, I guess, but every student would receive a device that they would use. That's not every school, though. So it depends upon funding and what people have. Many schools, I would say that during the pandemic, because students needed to have access for online learning, that's where a lot of that came in, of schools starting to issue devices. So that's one thing. In the schools and actual school settings, schools would have different computer labs that kids could access. Schools have these computers on wheels, so they're these big carts with laptops and devices that teachers can check out for students to use. In most cases, you know, telephones in schools are they have places where you put your phone in a little pocket when you walk into the classroom, so you're not using your phone during the school day. But that just depends on rules that are set within schools. So it's a really good question about the devices. So if schools have the money and they have the funding and they purchase devices for everyone, yeah, that's not always true for every school, though.
Thank you for the information.
You bet.
Can students bring handphone to school?
Mobile phone.
Oh, a mobile phone. Oh, yeah. Many kids do bring their phones, but it depends on whether or not they're allowed to use them. So some of their phones have to stay in their backpacks. Some of their phones can only be used when a teacher allows them to use it. So they might be able to have them, but the phone might have to stay in a backpack all day, and you can't use it. It just depends on the school and the teacher of whether they allow it or not.
Thank you.
Me again. How many English paper do they have during the test?
Like to write a paper?
Yes, because in Malaysian we have 2 paper.
Yeah, they would have, and they're not tested in writing every single year. So, and it depends what state you're in. So all 50 states have different requirements. In Texas, in the state of Texas, where I live, students take a writing test in 4th grade, and then they take another one, I think it's in 8th grade. So they have to write papers at that point. They're also, though, changing to where as tests change, that writing might just become part of an exam with literacy. So it's reading and writing. But yeah, it depends on the state that you live in of how you're tested in writing.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the information.
Hello, sir.
Yep. Do you have a question?
Yes. What the most subject student like there?
Can you say that one more time?
What the most subject student like there?
Oh, wow. For student, oh gosh, I don't know what students would say to that. I think most students would not say reading. I don't think they always love that. That never seems to be the top of the list. I think probably a lot of students, if you were to ask them, maybe they would say things like mathematics or science, things where they can manipulate and do experiments and more hands-on. That's what I would probably think if I ask students.
Now, when you say the students love something that they can manipulate, because mathematics here is quite a killer subject. So can you please share how is your approach? How is the approach there in teaching mathematics?
Yeah, so again, I will say it really depends. Depends on the teacher and the teacher who's open to learning new ways. So some teachers would just lecture and just do problems. Other teachers would allow students to use different manipulatives, and a manipulative could be anything. It could be actual manipulatives like counters and whatever. It could be beans, it could be grains of rice. It doesn't matter. The thought of like being able to tangibly hold and manipulate something and try to solve problems in different ways. It could be where you're given students opportunities to, they have a problem to solve, but you give them the opportunities to figure out how to solve that in a way that makes sense to them. So there's not just one way from the teacher, but rather students get these chances to really kind of think about, how would I go about solving this? And maybe we end up with 5 different ways of solving a problem, but it's giving the opportunities for kids to just be able to think, whether that's drawing, using the manipulatives, and not just, here's the problem and I'm going to show you how to solve it. There is this, let me show you for teachers that I think might be a good thing. And I'll put this in the chat as well. is these key practices. So part of my work at the University of Texas is to share some of these different research approaches in these different series. They're called the 10 key series. And so let me put that up and then I'll pull one up. So it looks like this, these 10 key series. So let me go to mathematics. So this is the resource in mathematics. This would give you kind of an idea of, in the area of mathematics, how I might teach mathematics in the elementary school based on what the research would say. So teachers emphasize number sense, and then you get different examples, different ways to actually show this. Students and teachers ensure students have the different computation skills and examples of what that might mean. Students understand these math concepts. There are different visuals and examples, but these are all available, and I think are really helpful often for teachers if they're trying to think about, what are some different ways that maybe I could think about teaching mathematics. So here is one for middle and high schools based on the research using manipulatives and tools. But that I put in the chat, that link, so you can see, from all these different areas of things to consider for reading, writing, vocabulary development, behavior. Were you able to get the link?
I will open it later. So
Okay, yeah, perfect.
thanks. It's really give me new insight.
There's also this, I don't know if you could, I don't know, I'm sure that you could, what's this book called? I might have to go and grab it so I could show you this book, and it's a really good one that I use even in when I have professional development learning with teachers. Let me get it, and I want to show you what this is. It's all about questions and choice. So it's about good questions, ways to differentiate mathematics, and then I'll send these to you. But it gives you, in here, it gives like different questions. And so one of the questions, I just turned to a page and it says, you know that 3 times 5 equals 15. What other multiplications could be easier for you to do because you already know this? Or make up a multiplication question involving big numbers when the digits 4, 6, and 9 appear somewhere in the question. It leaves it pretty open to a lot of opportunities and thinking. A 2-digit number has more tens than ones. What could the number be? How do you know your number is correct? And then sometimes there are these different choices in these books, but they're all pretty open-ended and allowing kids to just kind of grapple with this a little bit. A certain pattern has the number 5 in it. What could the pattern be? A pattern begins like this: 2, 6. How might it continue? So yeah, really so there's a couple different versions of that now, but they definitely are open-ended. I'm not sure where in Malaysia. Like, I would have ordered these in the United States, Amazon, but I'm not sure if, let's see. So here, I'll put it in the chat. Good questions. Great ways to differentiate mathematics instruction. And the author is Marianne Small, and there are a couple of editions. Like, I have the 2nd edition and the 4th edition. Maybe you can search and see if you can if you can't, Tessie, let me know if it's something you guys can't find there. And then the book for teachers, actually for students as well. I mean, I think this could be really good for anyone, teachers or students or parents who are really involved in education. It's broken down into different like grade bands. So there's a section for pre-K through second grade, and then there's a third grade through fifth grade, and then a sixth grade through eighth grade are that's how it's broken down. And then it includes things like a number sense, geometry. So if students like to really be able to think and try to solve problems in unique ways,